Well, I think like everyone else, I got interested in veterinary medicine at a very young age, mostly because I loved animals. I wanted to work with them, and I just really enjoyed being around them. And I challenged myself and went to a harder high school in my district. It was a magnet school for, science, engineering, and mathematics, which wasn't exactly what I wanted to go into, but I knew it was going to prepare me the most for what I wanted to do. And mostly, I just knew I wanted to be a vet because I loved animals. And then I started getting into a lot of my science classes, and I realized that it was something I really, really enjoyed. I liked knowing why things worked, why things happened, what was going on behind the scenes of what you just saw. And that's exactly what veterinary medicine is. It's a mystery. And every day that you walk into the office, you're solving a mystery. Something comes in and you don't know what's wrong with it, but you do all the background work, and you know from physiology and from anatomy what is going on inside the animal's body, and you know from the client what's been going on at home. And you take all these facts and all of these clues that you're gathering, and you solve it. And when you solve it, it's a really amazing thing. And so it's super rewarding for me to just be able to help animals in that way and use my knowledge for the good of these creatures. My main interest in veterinary medicine would be food animal. And growing up in a rural county, we did 4-H and FFA, and I raised steers and heifers, goats and rabbits and all sorts of things. And it's just really my passion, and those people are my passion. I love to go around to producers and ranchers and talk with them about, they'll talk with you forever about their herd and how many head and what they're doing and their management things right now. And those people to me are just the core of agriculture, and the way that I see it is they are helping me continue my career by continuing them. So I want to help them out as much as possible. Another career option that I've considered is academia, because I do love to teach people. So I've thought of coming back into a school and being a senior clinician and going around with fourth years and whatnot, or working with third year labs. It would be something that I really enjoy. Being able to share my knowledge is a huge drive in what I do in my life. Like I said earlier, I pushed myself harder and went to a more challenging high school, one that I knew was academically harder. It was smaller, and so we didn't have sports and we didn't have band, but we had a really, really good science and math program, and that kind of interested me, and I knew it would really help me out. I gained a lot of college credit there, and it helped me when I moved to when I came to Texas A&M. I didn't have to take a lot of my basic classes, and I got to jump right into what I was interested in, and that definitely helped my grade, because if you can take classes that you enjoy, that you want to study for, then you're going to make a good grade in them, just because it's something you want to learn. Another thing that I did was volunteer at a bunch of vet clinics. The experience that I gained is invaluable, really, because I didn't know where I wanted to be. 4 years ago, I was like, well, I'll work on anything. I'll be mixed animal and whatever, a small animal, I don't care. I just want to be a veterinarian. When you start working in clinics, you realize that there's parts that you really, really love, and there's parts that you're like, well, that'd be great, but, I'd much rather do something else. And so that's the way I was, in a small animal clinic only, and it was great because I was doing veterinary medicine. I was getting in there and working with clients and working with dogs and cats, but I could just tell it wasn't where my passion was. And then I went to an equine-only clinic, and I love horses. And for a long time, I thought, well, I'll be equine-only because horses are my passion. And I went there and I worked with a bunch of equine-only vets, and I realized, that's not really my passion either. Then I came to the food animal ward at Texas A&M, and I fell in love. And there's just nowhere else I'd rather be. So I love working with cattle. I love working with goats and sheep and small ruminants. And it's just, when your passion hits, that's it. So my advice to you would be, go everywhere and do everything, and never turn down an opportunity. Even if it's something you don't think that you would like, you'll surprise yourself, and you'll find your passion. And when you do, that's all the drive you need, and you'll be very successful that way. Oh, my experience in vet school. I'd have to say that, I had an easy time in high school and college. I got by without having to study much, and without really having to pay attention in class. It was kind of like, it just clicked with me. Vet school was rough. I studied a lot, and I came to class from 8 to 5, and it's like a full-time job, and it's very mentally exhausting, and I'm a person who loves power napping, honestly. So it was very, very exhausting, and it's something that you had to push through, and you love it because it's something that's so interesting to you, but at the same time, 24/7, it's all you're focused on. But my favorite thing about it has been my classmates. They're amazing people, every single one of them. I really consider them part of my family, and as well as my professors. They're always there for you. They always understand what you're going through. And there's something about somebody in vet school, I guess maybe the selections process, but you feel like you all connect on some level, personality-wise. I mean, even though you have different interests and different types of personalities, we're all the same. I feel like we all just get along somehow. It's a deeper understanding of what we're going through, I guess. But that's been my favorite part, is the people. Like I said, I didn't have to study much in undergraduate and high school, and I definitely had to study for vet school. Another thing that was different between high school and undergrad is I pretty much knew I was going to get an A in the class. I mean, I was one of those kids. I was like, meh, I didn't have to try. I didn't have to study. Didn't really have to pay attention in class. And at the end of the day, I was going to come out with an A. And I always took that for granted. And my first semester of vet school taught me a different lesson. I became one of those kids that was struggling. And for a long time, I fought really, really hard because I had that personality. I was like, I'm going to get an A. I have an A no matter what. And I ran myself into the ground the first semester. And the second semester, I finally, a month into it, resigned myself. I was like, you know what? I'm going to do my best. I'm going to learn the material because I need to know it. I'm going to learn it to the best that I can. And, hopefully that'll reflect on my tests. And so I relaxed a lot more, and I started, studying more, but not as stressfully and not as adamant about I have to make an A or I have to make a certain grade. And my grades improved. So it was a lot easier that way, and I didn't have to stress out. So a piece of advice that I give you is don't worry about grades, because once you get into vet school, it's really about making it through the process and learning your best and becoming the best veterinarian that you can. So relax a little, learn the information, but know it just to know it, not for a test, not for what the professor is going to ask you. Don't think, well, how is Dr. Ruoff going to ask this question about metacarpals and metatarsals and whatnot? Think about the information, think about the animal and how you're going to use it in the clinics, because that's the most important thing. And I'll tell you what, you really learn it that way.